Call to order. Pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call.
Chairman Christensen,
Present.
Vice Chair Greenan,
Present.
Commissioner Ross is absent with notice. Mr. Thompson is absent with notice. Member Warner.
Here. Thank you. I'd entertain a motion to approve the agenda unless there are some late additions or deletions.
Mr. Chairman, do we want to move the review of the lake level control procedure to our next meeting when hopefully we'll be fully have the full commission here by full authority?
We could do that, or just, we could move at the point of looking at it. We might look at it and chat and then move to push it to the next meeting. We could do it at that point, or we could do it at this point.
You could, if you don't want to have any kind of a discussion or input, you can just, it's your call to make. What do you want to do? You can delete it and, well, it'll be on your next agenda, so. Am I correct on that, Allison?
Mhm.
If we say,
Yep,
so it's
however they want to do it.
Okay, I'll move that we approve the agenda as shown then.
okay.
Is there support? Support. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we're getting agenda. Minutes. Take a second to take a peek at them. Thank you, Allison.
Yep, you're welcome.
I entertain a motion.
I'll move we approve the agenda as
Minutes.
attached, or the minutes as attached.
Is there support? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We have minutes. Public comment. Seeing none, hearing none. On to action items. Number 1, review bids received for Leland Dam pedestrian bridge surface and railing replacement project.
Okay, Patrick couldn't be here this morning, but I think we understand where we're going through. But I asked him to put together a cover memo of where we are and what we've looked at. What we were trying to go for was to put out an alternative bid of not having to use, just consider treated lumber, but what could be utilized for more longevity and less maintenance. He indicated as we went through the process that we had the IPE wood, which I still can't pronounce correctly. And then through his research, he found a reusable source of wood that's, being replanted and reused, the modified, thermally modified ash, which would continue to do that. He did look at the black locust or black maple, I can't remember which one it was, but it was going to have to, from his opinion, it would require more maintenance in the future than either one of these products will do. So we went out with the base bid of bidding the IPE. You can see the numbers through there. I mean, good news is we had four companies that submitted bids, and they're pretty widespread, and that's good news. You're always wondering if you're going to get one, so we had 4. His recommendation is if you continue, his recommendation is not to do the treated wood, but it's the option of the county board in the end. which is also your recommendation. But using the modified ash, the apparent low bidder is Easling Construction at $111,550. If you wanted to, I'm sorry, I back up. The base bid is still Easling at $108,546. If you use the modified ash, it is the Easling has a bid of $111,000. However, he is not using 100% of modified ash. All the posts that will be used is going to be what is it?
IPE.
The IPE lumber. So,
Yeah,
so
I
that,
think it's pronounced.
yeah, so it's not 100%, so it's not 100% of modified ash. If you wanted to stick with 100% of modified ash, the apparent low bidder is Fisher Contracting. As mentioned, this will be on the county commission's agenda for on Tuesday night. We're requesting, I'm requesting a recommendation from the Leland Dam Authority if they have a preference of what they'd like to do. And I think I've kind of covered from there. So I did ask to make sure that it was mentioned that all sources of wood were considered. And it was these two choices that our engineer came up with that would give us the longest term of life. So, I'm sure, sorry, Commissioner Ross isn't here today. She's still disappointed. She is somewhat disappointed that the black walnut or black locust was not considered, and I'll make sure that gets changed in the cover memo. But anyway, I did ask to make sure what the durability of each is the general life expectancy for treated lumber could be anywhere from 10 to 15 years, depending how well you take care of it. The other two sources are expected to be 30 years or more, so you can double the life of having, let's put it this way, if we use that, I don't think any of us in this room are going to have to worry about that in the future, so. At least I know I'm not going to most likely be here in 30 years if family genetics keeps up, so. It's up to you folks what you like to recommend, so.
Open it up for discussion.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
In my opinion, that we should go for the longer life product. Treated wood, a 10 to a 15 year is really, I think, sort of the max we expect in those types of conditions, with, being on the dam, in the water, in the weather continuously. And I think from a fiscal point of view, the 30-year life on either of the wood products is what we should go with. The question, I guess, in my mind is whether we go with the EPA, which is really a non-renewable or essentially a non-renewable wood source because those trees take a long, long time to grow, or the modified ash, which we know is ash is a locally produced and grown product. So I guess, in my opinion, I would prefer the modified ash.
I agree with both of those points.
Yeah, I'm all in on the modified ash also. What it does get us to is Fisher. I did take the liberty to talk to Rusty Friedel, who's my contact at Fisher. He was the foreman for Gerace when the dam was built through the winter. Came through on time and a bit under. He put the step in as he moved to Fisher to keep the lake out of the control room, on time, under budget. When he went from Gerace to Fisher, he took the bulk of his core crew with him. He's a type of manager and person that once you trust that person to do work for you, you would go back to that person. So I'm thrilled that we could consider Fisher. Rusty figured he'd have be able to have the galvanized pieces fabricated and on site in about 4 weeks. Jason at Easling said that he researched that and it would be 2 months, so the difference between 4 weeks and 8 weeks. That would put Easling into a situation where they would be working either through the winter or in the spring on the project, whereas Rusty and Fisher will be able to get at it this fall.
So your understanding, and I'm just going to put this in the notes for the commission, that Fisher is more or less willing, or if I gave him a call, they would be able to say, we can complete the work if we're awarded next Tuesday night, we can complete the work this fall. Whereas from your, Easily would not be able to complete it this fall and may have to wait till next spring to get done.
Correct.
Okay.
Unless they work through the winter.
Yeah, unless they work through the winter.
Right. They wouldn't have the parts and pieces until the first of the year about.
Okay.
How long did Fisher anticipate the project would take them?
That's a good question. I don't have a real good answer. It seemed like when I was talking with Rusty previously about this, we were in the 2 or 3 week range.
I could ask Patrick if he can get that, but I mean, I won't have any time
Yeah.
for you to make a decision.
Yeah.
I
think that getting it done in the off season makes a lot of sense. When things are not busy in the fall. The only thing that stood out to me is the demolition cost is about double with Fisher. Maybe we could negotiate a little bit on that to get it in the overall bid range of Easling's, just because that's a fairly straightforward item that seems like from 17 to 35 is double the cost. We had one come in at 20, one at 21.6, and then somebody at 33. So that might be an area where we could, budge them down a little bit into that 110, 108 range that Easton had, and then go with them.
Now, if, that's the case that we can do if that's what you want to move forward with, but, I got it. I think the rules are, here's what you have, and if they can get it lower, we can work with them, but I cannot go in there and negotiate with them now. I got to negotiate with the final vendor that is selected. So.
Did any? I mean, I'm familiar with the Easling. I haven't worked with them ever, but my understanding is they're a reputable contractor.
Oh, yeah. As far as I've heard of Walton Contracting, Fisher, I haven't heard of Fisher, Easling. I'm going in with the assumption all 4 of these vendors can do the work. They're credible enough. They will have to supply all the insurance documents and guarantees and blah, 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 blah. I mean, we've got a whole laundry list of that stuff that they have to guarantee, when they sign the contract. I'm not, but you folks may know more about them than I do. So.
Yeah.
Walton's been doing work around the county, and then one of my drainage district projects, South Power, Walton took that, and I've been impressed with Dustin Schrader, who's the big boss and does good work. Patrick is familiar with Lowry, if I pronounced it right, and has real confidence in them also.
Okay.
So we got
4 qualified.
4 great options as far as companies, in my estimation. Mm-hmm. Easling has a further benefit in my mind is that the company is owned by the employees, which is a pretty
nice thing.
Pretty big lift for them, but they have tradition and they're continuing on and doing great work.
The only thing that, that could technically throw Walton out is they supplied us an incomplete bid because we wanted a price, but here's where we are. So, but I mean, if you don't care about using the modified ash, then they need to continue to be considered, so.
I think if we do the modified ash, which I'm totally in favor of, I see that Patrick is listing it as in the category of EPA as far as longevity. We're talking 30 years or something, or more than twice, maybe 3 times what the treated southern yellow pine would be. I guess I would lean toward doing it all that type of wood. If you mix EPA in with the posts, with the treated ash, I don't know. It brings in somewhat of an unknown, plus it's not a true bid. It isn't the total thing.
And that's the question mark. I mean, you went for the alternative eBay, IB, or what? Yeah, I don't know why I can't get that one in my head. You wanted an alternative, and here under Easling, they're saying, we can do this, but we're going to mix it up some. We want both. Now, I'll be glad to look at the bids to see why they did that, but Patrick looked at it, he's more professional at it than I am, to see, and that was his note. So this is what they say they can do, but the decking and the railing itself will be ash. So.
It was the 4x4s that they couldn't source of EPA, or of heat treated ash, so they subbed in EPA with the 4x4s.
I guess the one concern I have is long-term for the county, that if we do not, if the low bidder is qualified and his bid is acceptable, if we don't go with him, then that's going to create a situation where bidders in New Orleans County looking to bid projects aren't necessarily going to be.
You go with that could be it, but you go with what you desired.
Yeah.
And that's what you go with. And I think if it was just between what our engineer first recommended to us and the treated lumber, it'd be a no question mark.
Right.
But it was that we were trying to look at using another source of lumber, of wood, that's not coming out of South America. That's not, and it's a wood, this was Kama's concern, is that, that's not being regenerated. In other words, we're using this material up and it's not being replaced. Whereas the ash, and if the locust could have been used, and it would have held up, it is being replenished. And that was the big thing. That was the big difference we were looking at. Is there something alternative that we could use? And there is. That would do close to or equal to that other product. So it's a call. Do you want to use a product that I guess I could say is more sustainable, because it's being regenerated on a regular basis, and it comes out of Canada, from what I understand. But it is being regenerated. They are continuing to regenerate this source. So that's the biggest factor, in my opinion. And that's an evaluation bid that the board has to make. So, and that's the only reason it was put in there. If not, we would have said, you wouldn't even had that alternative. Our engineer was recommending the eBay. I could, simply because of the long durability of that wood and not have to go back for 40 years.
Yeah, well, I support the thermally modified ash because.
I agree, I think we all do.
Yeah, so the question is, do we go with
The motion
Easling or Fisher?
Yeah, the motion, well, yeah, that is the question. I guess I'd lean, let's keep it all the same material. And it gets done this fall.
I'm good with that.
That's the way I would lean.
I think getting it done this fall is It'd be nice to have this project completed.
You know, I will, and so that we're following the same format, and from your conversation, I'll ask Patrick to confirm that if this is the way you want to go, confirm with Fisher that he can put it in the final memo, to the board that we want to go with the understanding that they will complete the work this fall.
I'll go do the demo for 35 grand.
Well,
I don't know
you
what
know,
else.
they've consistently come in at or under, Rusty has with several projects, including the entire dam itself.
Yeah.
So, I think there's potential there, and I see that too, but I think that could fall into a category of potential. I don't know what Rusty's plan is there, but
Okay.
he's a good guy to talk to, and maybe something can be worked out. I don't know, maybe, maybe not.
I will ask about it.
I guess I'd entertain a motion, unless there's more discussion. It'd be in the form of, we make a recommendation to the county board of
Yes.
commissioners.
I'm having to justify this in my mind, why not going with the low bidder is preferable in this. And I guess the reason would be time of completion. We didn't require to have them a completion date in the bid, did we?
And they could work through winter. I mean, we've had some pretty mild winters, so I mean, I would imagine they'd want to have it done in the off season too, so they could be ready to rock and roll with their regular stuff in the spring. So,
Right.
you know, that kind of negates that argument to a certain degree. And it's just a matter of having the posts e-pay.
Mixed material.
Yeah, and so, you know, that it technically, it's not apples to apples.
That's true.
And so, you know, would we give Ari a chance to mix it up a bit and do another bid? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no,
You know, if here Walton's saying not sourced, well, basically what Walton's saying, I couldn't source the whole thing. So did he bump into the same situation that Easling did? And he said, oh, I can't source it, so I can't do the bid according to the bid docs. So Walton said, I can't source it. Easling said, well, I can source most of it. So, you know, I mean, yeah, it's interesting that we have those two things, and they're noted and they're highlighted. Yeah, it's a bit of a head scratcher.
yeah. Well, even given my reservations, I'll make a motion that we recommend to the County Board of Commissioners that alternative number one, thermally modified ash bid from Fisher Contracting, be the selected contractor.
I'll second.
We have a motion and we have support. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? And maybe, Richard, you could note the reservations that we had. It was kind of it put us in a
kind of a tough spot.
Yeah.
And we did have reservations, but we felt with the way the bid came through and it kind of forced our hand.
Good.
Thank you.
I will make sure that gets noted. Okay. And I will also, in Patrick's cover memo, it's probably put the word walnut in there because I said that it should have been black locust, so I'll make sure it gets corrected. My bad.
I know that black locust was mentioned early on, and I would imagine that Patrick took a look at it.
Oh, he did. He looked at everything.
Yeah.
I don't
So
think,
if he could, like you said, specifically note what he came up with black locust, that would be a really good thing.
it was, in the minutes, it was black locust, and I know he talked about it. So, I think that was, he did, so. Because probably he was referring to my comment yesterday, and I probably said the word maple, and he's rushing through to get it done, to get it out of here, so. Remember, these just got opened last Friday, and he hasn't been sitting around waiting for our stuff, so.
Yeah, we've been pushing.
Yeah, we've been pushing him, so.
I wonder why they have differences in their sourcing, why one company can find it and why the other one can't. The contacts they have, or.
Yeah, it's got to be who
They deal
use as their supplier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you wouldn't go all the way back to where they're treating it, probably.
No. Right.
Quite obviously it's available, but where is the
Right.
question, so, that'd be an interesting fact to find out. Gets us to number 2. Review of the lake level control procedure draft document.
From unless you have some particular comments that we send back to Rick, as you mentioned, it'd probably be best if we had this on your next regular meeting to go through in detail and give you more time to go through it if you'd like, so.
I know Rick had mentioned, and I had the 2 docs side by side. There was a doc that came through after Rick had put together, along with Garth. And then it went out to the Lake Association, and the Lake Association marked it up pretty heavily, but I had them side by side and read them through, and the changes that were tweaks, they weren't major, so I felt that this is fine. I mean, it's not changed that drastically by the Lake Association to take our responsibility away from us, so to speak. And the change, it all made sense, and I pawed through it and I'm thinking this looks really decent. One thing that I did want to say is that when the project started, it actually started in '04 instead of '05. That was the first year I was on board, and that was my first task as drain commissioner. The top piece of mail on the stack was from the state of Michigan telling me I needed to fix my dam. So from 2000 until 2006, it was 2000 we started. We worked on the project. So, but anyway, at that point in time, there was no dam authority. And that's just a basic typo. It was the DPW. So that's the County Road Commission. There were 3 members and myself. So there were 4 of us that formed BPW, Board of Public Works. Mm-hmm. And that's the group that kind of mother hemmed the project through. We were lucky.
I was lucky. We were all lucky. I think there was very fortuitous chain of events, including getting the engineer we got. Um, yeah, we already had the district set. So there was work done 20 years previous on this. So at that point, lake level wise, this district was set. So we had the district to work with. So all we needed to do was get the project going, tune up the district with the proper property tax ID numbers, and decide what kind of an assessment we were going to do. And the county stepped up to pay half, which is what they did in the 20-year previous project. So I think that was huge. I think it was appropriate myself. I think they, it might not have been the most easy political move on their part, but they stepped up for half. That left half for the riparians. We had a real strong county road commission. Lee Bowen was the chair, coming out of Ford Motor Company as one of the top execs. Very skillful and knew exactly what he needed to do, and was able to run meetings and be a tremendous resource. So it happened. BPW.
I think it's things like that, Steve, as you read it and you see something because of your history, probably going to get that back to Rick to make those small, minor corrections so when it comes back, it's a final document. It's almost to be in a final document.
Yeah, it's close.
I mean, obviously, you've got the history. This boy, my dams, we got rid of 3 of them. I've got one that's being majorly modified right now, so there you go. I was trying to get rid of all those dams.
Yeah, the last one would be tough.
Well, Union Street Dam's not going anywhere. We want to keep those lampreys from going upstream. That's going to be the major barrier, so.
Yeah.
And that's why you need that dam there to keep them from going upstream too, so.
Yeah, this one, in my estimation, and I had a chat with Fish and Wildlife this week they were wondering about this one. Is it a lamprey shield? And I've never heard of any lamprey being in Lake Loma. And it's quite a, it's a real shield. It's high. So, and then the way it got fixed, it was leaking. There was piping alongside on each side of the dam. I'm not so sure too much under, but along the sides especially. So water was getting through, and that's what we had to stop. And we did sheet pile. There's a concrete wall on the falling water side. From that concrete wall, and we took sheet pile across the face, and we took sheet pile all the way up the side, up to through the restaurant property up to the sheet pile that the Merck had put in previously. So we went sheet pile to sheet pile, all and made a horseshoe and drove it down. And then that was the dewatering mechanism. So the construction happened, and then the divers cut the sheet pile off to let the flow happen. So with that sheet pile in there, we have a real solid barrier, which the Fish and Wildlife guys were quizzing me on, because if there's a little trickle seeping across like around the edge, that does leave a possibility of an opening for lamprey to get up. So anyway.
Okay, well, Allison, just put in the notes that this has been deferred. I mean, general discussion will be on the next regular meeting of the Dam Authority. And sir, you've got one more task before you get to leave at the end of December, or we're going to make you stay. And I'll talk to you about that in a minute. So to finish, that deals with that little land. Who owns what?
I don't need any more jobs. I'm trying
No,
to
no,
get 'em
I
off
don't
my plate.
need it because I don't understand it. So you're gonna have to get stuck with it. Sir.
Okay,
Okay.
yeah.
All right.
So, we, by consensus, moved this to the next meeting. Gets us to public comment. Seeing none, hearing none. Commissioner comments?
None?
Seeing none, hearing none. Entertain a motion to adjourn.
Also move?
Support? We're adjourned.
Allison, thank you for putting this together.
Yes,
for us.
thank you.
You are welcome.